Alright guys, this tutorial is going to show you how to create your own simple animation in Photoshop. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can so you can get started on your work. But what I created is a very simple animation in using different images, and I did include different effects, including sound. So here's an example of something that you were able to create in Photoshop. Again, something very, very simple, but if you put forth more time and energy than what I did into it, you can make a really neat animation. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is figure out what it is that you want to animate. So you can see here on my desktop, I went ahead and grabbed some images. So if you haven't done this before, you're going to want to go into Google and just type in the search engine for whatever image it is that you're looking for. You guys know that you have to be very careful with what it is that you're searching for. So if you ever have images that are inappropriate, there is a way to try to avoid that. Come up here to your settings, go to search settings, and turn on safe search, and that will help eliminate some of the stuff that you are not supposed to see that could potentially get you in trouble here at school. So go ahead and find an image that you want. I already have an image on my desktop, but I want to show you that if you do a right click on the image, and a right click on the Mac is a two-finger click, you're going to go to Save Image As, and you want to go ahead and give it a name so that you will know what it is. And then it's easiest if you send it to your desktop. You do want to check the format. It should be a JPEG. It could be a PNG. You just want an image that's going to be easy for Photoshop to convert into pixels. So a JPEG is usually your best bet. So click Save, go back to your desktop, and your image should be right there. So now let's go ahead and open up Photoshop. So this is the video I showed you previously. You can see over here on this side, these are all the layers that I have. You will need to make several layers when you are creating your animation. Over here is a timeline. Now when you first open up Photoshop, it's not going to look anything like this. So what you will do is you always want to open up a new document. So when you have Photoshop open, go to File, New. And you can go ahead and just you could do a film and video, but just for us, let's stick with photo right now. You'll want to choose whether you have it in landscape or portrait. So landscape, if you don't know, is where it's more horizontal than vertical, and portrait is where it's more vertical than horizontal. The default Photoshop size is going to work perfectly fine for us. So that's 7 inches by 5 inches, and it's at 300 pixels per inch. So that resolution will work for us. So you can go ahead and just title this animation or whatever title you want for this. Hit create. And you should have a blank background. If you have worked in Photoshop before and you just drag your image straight into this, know that it is not going to work the way that you want. You always want to do File, New, so that you have a background to work on. And I'm going to go ahead and close my timeline so it'll match up with what you guys have. So your screen should look similar to this. You do want to make sure that your layers is visible. So if your layers is kind of down low where you can't see it, you can always drag it and move it up where it's a little bit higher. You don't need all of these things open, so feel free to close them if you want, so that you have more room over here to work. So now that you have your background, you can put in your first image. If you noticed on this one here, I have a background, but that's because I put an actual image onto my background. So you still want to have a layer that is just your background, and then you can put all sorts of other things onto your main page. So I'm going to grab that dragon that I had. I have this one here originally. I'm going to go ahead and use that. So with Photoshop, once you put an image in from your desktop, you have to tell the computer that yes, you want it. It will not let you do anything to the image until you confirm that you want this image. So at this point, you can move the image to where you want it to be. You can expand the size. It doesn't really matter because you're going to do lots of changes anyway. But you'll notice over here at the top, you either have this no button or the check. So you either have to confirm that you want it or you have to press the enter button. And until you do that, the computer's not going to let you do anything. So now what we essentially have is a screenshot of that image here into Photoshop. We want the computer to convert this image every little bit into pixels so that we can actually manipulate these individual pixels. So in order to do that, you're going to come over here where the name of that image is and do a right click on the name. Again, right click is a two-finger click, and you're going to rasterize it. So you click on rasterize layer, and you'll notice that little rectangle that was right there is now gone. So as long as you don't have that rectangle, then you know that your image is rasterized and you are able to work with those individual pixels. All right, so now the fun begins. Now I have my image, and you notice before I had my dragon facing the other way. So what I want to do is, if you notice when I move it around, and if you look here on this thumbnail, you'll see all this white part that's around my dragon. I want just the dragon itself, none of the other aspects of that white that's there. So we're going to come over here to this quick selection tool. If you want to learn your shortcuts, the shortcut command is W. And this is going to pick up the pixels that you want. So up here are your settings. So right now it's only picking up about 5 pixels at a time. So if I want to increase that size so it picks up more, just increase the number. I'm going to go around with my mouse and I'm going to pick up everything but the white. And you're going to notice that as I'm doing this, the computer isn't quite sure exactly what I want, so it is going to pick up some of the white anyway. You can zoom in, and in order to zoom in, it's Command plus. And what we call these little lines, we call those marching ants, if you've never done this before. So you'll notice that my marching ants aren't around this section here. So it's grabbing everything else, and I don't want it to grab this part here. So I'm going to change it from plus, which is to grab, to minus. So you could do that up here, but it's easier just to hold down the Alt button. And you'll notice I just press the Alt and that plus changed to a minus. And so now I'm going to click over in there because I don't want that. But it did not grab that point there. So I'm going to change my size so that I can get a little more precise. And the more you work with this, the more the computer is going to recognize the colors of the pixels that you want, and it'll help do a more pristine job. So I don't want that part there, the white. That one's already gone. Whoops. Don't want this part, so I need to delete that. Notice the computer recognized, oh, don't want all the white, so it went ahead and zoomed in on all of that. So you can get very, very picky and spend a lot of time doing individual pixels with this. But if you spend all of your time that way, then you're not going to get a lot of work done. All right, so now I pretty much have just the dragon. In order to delete that white stuff that surrounds it, I need to tell the computer to select everything but the dragon. So you come up here to select and you do inverse, which means opposite. And notice that my marching ants are now around the outside. So I want to delete that. You can either just hit your delete button, or I'm going to actually do Command X, which is cut. And I cut those pixels away. And notice now that I should just have my dragon. Shouldn't have anything else around it. If you want to check, you can always go to your background color and change the color. Oops, I did the layer instead. Sorry. There we go. So I hid that so that you could see what it is. So now I know that I just have, for the most part, my dragon. So I'll show my background again. There we go. So now I want him to face the other way. So I'm going to transform him. You can come up here to edit. Oh, sorry. Nope. Yeah, there it is. Edit, transform. And these are the different things that you can do to transform your image. What I do instead is I just do Command T, which is the shortcut command for transform. And I want him facing the other way. So I could have flipped him, but I could just move him over like this with my mouse. I can change the size of him. I can elongate him. If you're worried about changing your aspect ratio like this, making it so that it's doesn't maintain its height and width ratio, hold down the shift button and that will maintain your aspect ratio. So I'm going to get my dragon the way that I want. Anytime you do a transformation, you have to tell the computer to accept it. So either come up here to the check mark or hit enter. And so now I'm going to show you a couple things that you can do to animate your image. So if you noticed over here on this one, what I did is I did different things with the wings. I had the eyes glow and then I added fire into it. So in order to change the wings, I had to make a copy of my dragon. And the easiest way to do that, you can come over here and right click and do a copy, but all you have to do is Command J. And notice that I have a dragon copy right there. So I want to take the copy, I'm going to hide the first one so that I'm only working with my copy, and I want to change and alter its wings. So I'm going to come back over here to my quick selection tool and I'm going to grab this wing. Just take that part, get rid, actually I'll just keep that. Oops, got too much of the tail there. So we got to use our tool to get those pixels that we don't want. And what I'm going to do now is copy just the wing. So that's Command J again, and now I have a layer that's just the wing. If I come back to my other copy, now I want to delete this wing. So the whole reason why I'm doing this is I want to have a dragon with the wing that I can manipulate. So after I get that wing selected again, I'm going to do Command X, which is delete or cut away. And it doesn't look like the wing is gone, but if I hide this layer that had the copy of the wing, and I just have that dragon copy, you'll notice that that wing is gone. You also notice all these little pixels that got left behind. You can clean that up. You can come over here to the eraser and use this tool and it will just erase those pixels. You do have to be careful in Photoshop to make sure that you are on the layer you are trying to manipulate, because one, if you're not on the right layer and you're trying to delete something, it won't let you. And two, if you are on the wrong layer and you're trying to manipulate it, you might mess up another layer. So that got rid, just erasing there. Do you notice that I've got all of these little marks here? So that doesn't look all that good. So I'm going to show you another tool. Over here is called the spot healing tool. It looks like a band-aid. So I'm going to take that tool and come over here and start brushing along my dragon, and notice that it fills those pixels in based on what is surrounding it. Now this is not exact, it's not going to work perfectly, but it is a really cool tool to help you with filling in if you take something out. Another option is to do copy and paste something. So using my quick selection tool, if I just want to copy this section of the dragon, so I have it selected. Command C is copy, Command V is paste. Notice it put it over here on another layer, but I can come over here to my move tool, grab that, and move it, and now it looks like it belongs. Do Command T to transform it so that you can change the angle. Make sure you tell the computer yes you want it, and then there you go. So there's all these really cool tricks that you can use with Photoshop. So I want to fix the tail here, but notice that I'm on the layer that just had that bit. So I got to come back up, click on this layer, and now it should let me finish that. Okay, so that was just to show you what you could do to alter things. So now that I have my wing separated, I'm going to change it later so that it looks like it's flapping and moving. But let me show you now how you can make a glowing effect. So you saw in the video the eyes glowed. Let me put my dragon back up, the original. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to use my quick selection tool again, and I just want the eyes to glow. So I'm going to grab the eyes, make a copy of that, Command J, and there's that layer there. So I'm going to go ahead and name this eye so that I know it is for my glowing eye. And in order to add that effect to it, you're going to do a right click on the name again, come up here to blending options, and we're going to do an outer glow. You can also do a color overlay, which does exactly what it says. It just puts a color over top of those pixels that you had. So if you click the checkbox that you want it, and then click on the words color overlay, and it'll give you your options over here. So if you don't like the color it gave you, probably gives you a gray, you double click on there, and then choose a color that you want. Alter the wheel, color wheel. Choose something that's going to look really good. You should be able to do a preview of it up here so you can see what it's going to look like. Click OK. You can change the level of the opacity. Obviously the 100% is going to cover it 100%. So choose something that works for you. And then now I'm going to do my outer glow. So I click on outer glow, and I'm going to double click on the words outer glow because it's got a red glow right now. I'm going to choose a green color for this one. Click OK. You can change the spread, how far that glow will be, the size of it. You can change the opacity with it as well. All of these factors. Noise will make it more speckled. So find whatever you like, then hit OK. And now you've got your glow effect. So I'll turn that back off and you can see back what it was before. All right, now let me go ahead and show you how to do some animations. So I have those two effects in. I've got the wing and I have the eye glowing. Actually, let me show you. I better group this. So if you remember, this layer here was that section of the wing that messed up. I want to group it with this layer here, which was the actual wing. So in order to do that, if you have multiple layers that you want to group together, hold down Shift and you click on the layers that you want. Notice they're both now highlighted. Do a right click and then you just say group from layers. Give it a name, so I'll just say wing. And now I have that together instead of separated. All right, so now time for the animation, the fun stuff. So we're going to come up here to our window so that we can open up our timeline window. So come down here to timeline, open it up, and we want, if this says create video timeline, we need to change it to where it says create frame animation, because we're going to be doing this frame by frame. Zoom out a little bit. All right, so in order to get started, you have to actually click create frame animation, and it adds my first frame. So you know from all the work we've done on animations, you have 24 frames per second. So this is just nothing right now. So I need to actually have it do something. So let's just do that glow effect. I'm going to have my eye glowing. And it's kind of hard to see on the thumbnail, but that little image there, the eye would be glowing on the dragon. Oops, wrong button. All right, so in order to have this animated, I obviously need more than one frame because it's got to go back and forth or move from one frame to the next. So in order to add a frame, you click on this button here. Just makes a new frame. Notice it's the exact same thing as what you had before. So you want to have a difference. You want to have either a movement or a change in effect. So what I'm going to do is in this frame number 2, now I want that glow to be visible. So it should not be visible in frame number 1 because when I established frame number 1, I did not have this checked. So it just took what the two things were. So to show you, we're going to hit play. You want to make sure that this is checked for forever instead of once, because it'll just do it once. So forever, it's going to keep going back and forth. If I hit play, it just flips back and forth between those two frames. Stop or it's going to go forever. So now let's add another frame after 2. I'm going to add a third frame. Everything that's checked is going to be on that third frame. So I still have my main dragon. I still have the glowing eye. If I wanted to change the wing, I would, oh, that wing was there. I would hide it or show it. But just to show you what the animation can do, I'm going to move my dragon. So I'm going to have him come up here. Notice that his eye did not travel with him. So I got to move the eye too. So now if I play it, I should have a dragon without the eye glowing, then eye glowing with the movement. There we go. So go back to screen or frame number 3. If I want to add another frame, and then this time move my dragon again, grab that eye so that it follows along with them. And you can see how we get our animations. It's just frame by frame. Now there is this really cool button called tweening, and what that does is it helps do those in-between frames. So when we were looking at the like pose to pose action, and they would have everything going in between, you can actually have the computer do some of that work for you. So you got to be careful with this because what it's going to do is give you, sometimes it does it really funky. So let me show you how to do the between. First, you want to select the frames that you want to tween or add frames between. So if I want 1 through 4, I have to make sure that 1 is selected first, hold down Shift, and then select 4. Notice that now all 4 frames are selected. Now if I click on the tween, won't let me do it, sorry. Forgot, you got to do 1 and then the last one. Is it going to do it? Nope. Try it one more time. All right, instead of Shift, let's try Command. There we go. So I wanted 1 and 4, and it's going to add frames in between. So click on my tween. There we go. So now tell the computer what you want it to tween. Do you want just the selected layers, all layers? Do you want it to change position, opacity, or the effects, which are like that glow thing? Things that you don't want, obviously you're going to uncheck those. So tell it how many frames to add. I'm not going to do very many because you're going to see that this is going to be really freaky. I'll just do 4. And you see that it added 4 frames. And if you want to click to see what each frame does, notice how it'll move. Notice this little shadow effect that it had. That's what the tweening does. So you actually see those in between shots. So tweening can be good, but it can also mess it up quite a bit. So now let me play it for you so you see what it does. There you go. So that is the basics of animation for Photoshop. So like I said, you could get other things. Here is my background that I did for a dungeon. So I can shift that in, alter it again, tell the computer yes you want it. Notice it covered up my dragon. That's because it's in between here in the layers. So I first want to rasterize it. Oops, try that again. And then I'm going to move this layer to the bottom so that everything else is on top of it. And let's see what else. Oops, I didn't need to move that. How about putting in that fire? So just add another layer in, put that fire in. It's kind of hard to see everything, so I'm going to hide. Oops, got to tell the computer, yes, you want the fire. Won't let you do anything else till you do. Let me hide everything so you can actually see the fire. Oops, I want that. Oh, darn it, it got put in with my wing. I got to move it out. It's in the same layer as my wing is right now. So I got to take it out. There we go. Move it up here to the top. All right, so rasterize it. Oops, got to make sure you're on the name. So now I'm just going to grab those pixels that are the fire, using my quick selection tool. Do select inverse, then Command X so that I just have the flames. Command T to transform it. I can shape this however I want. There we go. Tell the computer yes. Bring my dragon back up. Obviously that's too big, so Command T again. There we go. And now I've got a fire breathing dragon. So you can animate that. Notice that it's only on frame 3 that this shows up. So if I want to not have that in frame 3, if I want it in all of them, oops, it added it to all of them. So you got to check all of your frames. I'm selecting them all. And then I'm going to hide the fire. Then I want to select the first one and have it move within each frame. Where'd my fire go? Oh, it moved away. It messed it all up because I had everything tweened, so it was adding that effect anyway. That's what happens. So don't work on your actual animations until you have all of your elements on there, because as you can see, it really messes it up. But now I want to go back to the first one that I had so that you can see what I did. So here is the effect with the glow. I moved the wings, get rid of the fire. So I had to name them so I know when the wing was open and when it was closed, because there's a lot that you have to do to think about positioning to get it the way that you want. So let me go back to my video one more time so you can see what that final effect was, and then it's time for you to get to work. So notice the wings, how they moved. I could have moved the dragon. I could have changed the dragon's size to make it smaller or bigger. You really have to think about what it is that you want to animate and all the different parts of what it's going to take for those different layers and frames to make your animation. All right, so you see the wings. One thing I did not show you, I forgot to show you how to add sound to it. Sound is really cool. So in order to add your sound, I'm going to go back to this one here. You will want to find a sound clip that you can download. So some of you have stuff on your iPad, sound clips that you can do, but what I did was just went to Google and I did dragon roar sound effect free, get the free one. Oops, I don't want images. And I went to this one here, soundbible.com. So this was the roar that I got. You can check it out to see. And then just click on it. There we go. You want to either get a WAV file or an MP3. I went ahead and got an MP3. And so it downloaded. Come over here to Finder. Go to your downloads. There it is there. It should end with MP3. Okay. So you want to put that in your documents or your desktop. And let me make sure this is on full screen. Okay. Oops. Won't let me go down to my stuff. There we go. All right, so click on here and it's going to change it to a video animation. You do not want frame at this point, so now it's all in a video. It's very short right now. If you click back to the frames, yes, convert. I only have 8 frames, so it's not very long at all. So down here, scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see audio track. So you click on add audio, go to where you put that sound clip. Remember, you can only put an MP3 in or a WAV file, so you click on that, hit open, and it adds it in there. So once you have this converted, there's all sorts of cool stuff that you can do. You can work on editing in the video frame section. Like you can cut part of the sound, you can put it in later parts, or put it on a loop and repeat. But that's not really our goal for today. Our goal for today is just for you to make your first simple animation using Photoshop. So have fun with this. Can't wait to see what you guys are able to create. When you are done, you want to make sure that your final video is exported as a video clip. So we're going to come up here to File, Export, Render Video. Should have a name, which you already named it. Make sure you know what folder you're putting it in. I'm putting it in my documents. Click on Render. And it's going to change it into a QuickTime video for you. So it's working, exporting it. Does take some time. Do not close anything while it's processing. So now you want to make sure that it did fully export it. So come up here to Finder, your Finder, go to Documents or wherever you sent it, and it should be right there. You want to make sure it ends with MP4, okay? Has to be MP4. If it says PSD, that's your Photoshop document, which means it did not change it to a video. So make sure before you close anything out that you have this right here. Click on it, and there you go. See, that was super fast. Sound was longer than the animation. But that's it. That's how you create. All right, guys, have fun. Can't wait to see your stuff.